2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brannon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us.
How do I overcome the belief that men are pigs?
Welcome to the Therapy Brothers podcast.
I'm Brannon.
I'm Tyler.
We're brothers.
We're therapists.
And we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
Hey, Tyler, you ready to have some hard conversations?
Let's do it.
Let the Therapy Brothers podcast begin.
Brannon, how's it going, man?
It's good. It's good. We're getting this live stream thing down.
Yeah,
you and I trying to do something with technology.
It's like the biggest risk because I am the least tech savvy guy in the world, and now you got me in charge of trying to run all the live stuff and everything.
Well,
else.
You're in charge of it because you're not the least tech savvy. I am. This is bad. We're gonna figure this out though.
We're practicing what we preach with being vulnerable and going into some discomfort by starting this thing up and trying to do this. So
yeah.
Good.
Totally. Although we did just have our first one and it went pretty good. We got a lot of comments and things.
I did think it went well.
So yeah, we didn't get any Team Tyler or Team Brannon's though.
Yeah, well, everyone was too nice. They were kind of said both.
You dominated that episode though, man.
No, I sat there quietly while you talked.
You dominated it. I'm typing in Team Tyler right now. I'm putting it in.
Good. Give me a vote. Yeah. Thanks, man.
I'll give you a vote because I love you so much. There you go. All right. Well, should we dive in, Tyler?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Any other things we need to announce?
Just really quickly, for people who want to be able to come on the show and talk with us, we love having you on as guests. It's therapybrothers.org. You can go and just sign up to be a guest on the show. We would love to have you. You are what makes our show helpful to so many other people. We get comments about the callers all the time about their courage, their willingness to share, and we just want to be helpful to whoever comes on. So therapybrothers.org.
Therapybrothers.org.
Yeah.
Yep. And Tyler, it's like, I don't know if people really realize this. The guests we just had and the guests we have today, like, they do a huge service to people by coming on and sharing their lives. And it really is courageous that they do it, and it helps other people. So we hope that they get something good out of it, but it also helps other people. So if you're courageous enough and you want to bounce your life off of us, we'd love to break it down. So therapybrothers.org. So speaking of a brave soul here, Dave, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks. Glad to be here. Big fan of the show. You're making me a little more nervous talking about the bravery and the courage and the vulnerability we have to have. But yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Well, if you want to just give us a little background, tell us what's been going on in your life and ask any questions you have.
All right, appreciate it. Yeah, so I'm the youngest of 7 kids, and growing up, my parents' relationship, from my perspective, I know, I guess I got to say up front the disclaimer, right? That my parents were awesome. I loved them. They did the best with what they could, all that kind of stuff. Definitely not trying to badmouth them, but my interpretation was that they had a pretty strained relationship. My mom, I felt like, didn't even like my dad. Like, was annoyed by him. Would talk about how he struggled to not. He talked a lot, for one thing. We kind of all, the kids all kind of agree that maybe he had Asperger's. Socially, had a struggle with people and knowing when to stop talking, for example, and things like that. And so my view was that my mom just really was kind of annoyed by him. Then I had, unfortunately, older sisters that had abusive husbands, really bad situations there. One in particular was like my hero, like before I knew what he was really like. So he was kind of my example of masculinity, which was not a good example because he was, a womanizer and other things like that. So in that mix, I also, growing up, saw nudity on movies and things like that, and was introduced to like hardcore pornography through magazines when I was like 11. And so that became this, early on, the seeds of an escape for things that I dealt with. But as I grew up, again, watching my parents' relationship, my my mom instilled in me this, like, I felt like this desire to be this perfect romantic husband, not like my dad. And so that was, my struggle with healthy masculinity. Also, my dad was like the atypical male, so he didn't, watch sports really. He didn't hunt or fish or, wasn't handy at all. Like, that was a big thing that my mom would talk about a lot. And so that stereotypical male was not represented, I felt like, in my home. He was a great man, very faithful in his church, in our church and everything. But just those types of things. And so having my mom and my sisters, it felt like feelings towards men. And then me wanting to feel different, but then having this underlying secret that I dealt with, pornography and masturbation, and not being able to counter the fact that, like, men are pigs. Like, I felt like that was a message. Men are pigs, and I can't argue that, but at the same time, I really struggled with that resentment towards, that women are better than men, and that men are, they can't counter that stigma, if you will. So. I guess that's, yeah, go ahead.
Dave, you don't have any brothers?
I do. I have 2 older brothers, and so I got to give them credit because they are good. They were good examples, are good examples to me. It's just different. And I think, like, my next older brother, super awesome guy. He even went into therapy, so empathetic, so everything. It just similarly, I would say he and I both aren't like the typical male. We're not handy. We're not, into sports. We're not that kind of stuff. And so there's, I don't know, like, I struggle with that, like the strong masculine. And then my oldest brother, he kind of was. He taught himself how to be handy. He got into sports and stuff like that. So yeah. So I'm not like completely without like good examples, but not a lot. And yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
So it's a twofold, if I'm hearing you right, it's kind of a twofold question that you're having. One is that I have the belief that men are pigs and that causes me problems. But then I also resent that women are better than men as a result of me being a pig. And I resent that I'm told that. I resent that I'll never be good enough. So I feel the shame of being a pig, but then I resent that other people say I'm a pig.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I don't know if I can like feel like I can say that, yeah, I believe that. It's just like, I can't argue that. I have been a pig. Like, I've lied about my struggles, my sex addiction or whatever. And so, like, I can't point to a perfect example or a really good example of like, no, we're not. Like, I don't know. And it feels like there's not that kind of a message at all for women, and not that there should be, but you know what I mean? Like, it just, I can't, yeah, I want to be able to say, no, we're not all, even if we have these mistakes, we're overcoming them. Men can be, something else other than pigs or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Dave, are you Are you married?
I am.
You are.
Yep.
You've been married for a while.
Yeah, about 22 years. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just wondering how you show up as a husband. I mean, with this belief, like, what are
Yeah.
some of the implications in on your marriage or the way that you show up?
100%. That's the underlying route to what I want to solve to become, to overcome and have a strong recovery because I'm I'm like a recovering nice guy. I've read that Mr. Nice Guy or whatever, people pleaser, chameleon, and then I feel like I show up weak to my wife. And as I'm learning about this now, it's like I don't feel like I have a place to stand on yet because she's in pain and has been through so much, and I can't, I don't, I have a hard time showing up strong because of where she's at, if that makes sense.
Uh-huh. Well, we were just kind of talking about that in the first episode today. But what I'm hearing is that there's not a ton of trust and safety there in your relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been working on this on our recovery for a few years now. I disclosed because I was at my the end of my rope or whatever on it, and we've had a pretty rough journey. Um, but there's been a lot of progress, especially lately. So, but yeah,
Good.
Could I follow up on what Brannon just asked and maybe go a little deeper for just a second here, Dave?
yeah,
Um, this just ask a couple of questions. These come from something called The Work by Byron Katie, and I just want to ask two of them, maybe three of them. But one of the questions that she always asks her clients is this thought that I'm a pig. Okay, this belief that I'm a pig. I've always been a pig. I even have evidence to prove that I am.
yeah.
Number one is it true? And you're saying yes, it's true. I've been a pig. I don't want to believe it, but it's true. Second question is, can you absolutely know that it's true that you're a pig?
Yeah, no, I think I get where both those questions are going, I've learned about affirmations. I've been trying to tell myself and believe that I have worth and that I'm not, I'm not a victim. I'm an owner. Things like that. Eh,
Before we even go
yeah,
there, Dave, let me
yeah,
ask you another question that goes along with this is let's take that I am a pig and I believe it, and let's just sit with it for a second and ask yourself and kind of mindfully sit with this and just see what comes up. Who would you like? What does it lead you to do, or who does it lead you to be when you believe that belief that you're a pig? How does it actually manifest in your life?
yeah. No, I think it definitely opens the door for me to give up and not fight, not try to go against that belief.
You,
Um,
so you feel
yeah.
helpless, you give up. How would your life be different if you woke up tomorrow and you couldn't even have the thought that you're a pig? How would it look different? Specifically,
Yeah. That's something that I've carried with me for so long that, like I said, I don't want to believe it. I can't even, don't like saying it, but like, um, to feel like we're on even ground, men and women, would be huge. That's something, like I said, I struggled with for a long time. I just feeling like,
how would your life look different specifically? Like, what would you see yourself doing or not doing if you could never believe that belief?
um, I guess I could see myself, forgiving myself better, more holy, and having a stronger hope for the future. So, um, yeah, it's just not going there at all would be huge.
What's the emotion that's coming up inside of you right now, Dave? What is this?
I think it's a weight. I mean, like I said, it's just something that a message that I feel like I've heard or taken in one way or another, like most of my life or all my life. So to imagine it going away, I guess is kind of like a relief thought. I don't know. Yeah.
You feel
Uh,
almost like the weight of it come off just to imagine that you wouldn't have to walk around with that as the default setting all the time. You'd have true relief. You'd be feel
yeah.
free, unburdened.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so.
What I, I I just want to ask, like, you talk about hunting, fishing, being handy. Like in your mind, like what is healthy masculinity? Like what is that?
Yeah, I mean that's honestly like one of my questions that I'm carrying forward, and was hoping to get a little more insight from you guys maybe. But
Uh-huh.
I know it's not. I know it doesn't have to be those things, right? Like I know there's strong men that maybe aren't interested in those types of activities or whatever. That doesn't have to be the case, but uh, yeah, I don't know. I think it's being um having integrity, being true to yourself, being being strong, being um I don't know,
I,
decisive and yeah, go ahead.
I really like where you're going with that. It's about like accepting the uniqueness of you. And it's not, hey, here's the box. Fit in that box and then you'll be man enough, you'll be good enough. And I even wonder, like, was your dad a good man?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, he was a good man.
Yeah.
And maybe he legitimately had Asperger's. So he was, his capacity um, to hold space or do things. It probably was extremely frustrating to be married to him, I imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could he be a good man and still be really frustrating to be married to?
Yeah.
Yeah. Could both those things be true?
Yeah. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Because when I ask you if he's a good man, you give me a quick answer. At the same time, your mom was complaining and like stuck and not happy forever. Both are true. Could your dad have been a healthy, had been healthy in his masculinity as he was? What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he was a confident guy for sure and yeah. I guess I struggle with the social pressure maybe of masculinity and like social situations, like you're in a group of guys and sports comes up and you don't have anything to say or you know what I mean? Or like the guy talks about the latest project he's working on at home and you can't contribute to any kind of conversation there. Or at home, something does come up and I got to go hire another guy who has
Mm.
that ability to come, it's stuff like that that makes me go, well, crap, that's part of being a man, I think. And
But
yeah,
what is the part of it that's actually being a man? Is it turning the wrench that is being the man?
I mean, that's how I feel sometimes. Yeah.
Right. That's the belief, right?
Right. The belief. Yeah.
You got to be up under that toilet, like figuring out how to fix it, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what a real man would do, right?
Yeah. And
Um,
I think that was reinforced when my mom would talk about or complain about the fact that he doesn't know how to do anything like that. Doesn't know, you
there's
know.
an element an element of truth to this, which is it's a man's job to provide a safe space that's okay to live with, to protect, to provide. Like that's a man's job. Now, if I don't like turning a wrench, then what I need to do is figure out how to hire the right plumber to go fix the problem or
Yeah.
step into that. And if I never step into that or never take care of any of that, then my masculinity is weak. Like I'm not stepping up for my family. But it doesn't mean, do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can in my unique way step into that providing and protecting in my unique way.
Yeah.
Um, and if I give those responsibilities away, then I'm really not being a healthy masculine. Tyler, did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do actually, Brannon. I think you're kind of going the same direction my brain was going with this, and I'm picturing like this is what I think. And man, if I rounded up the closest 100 dudes close to me and asked them the same question that you just said in the statement of I could pick certain topics, like let's just say guns, cars, financial
And
planning,
Trump.
and Donald Trump. Like, okay, let's just go with that because we know that Donald Trump took every man in America pretty much, any masculine man in America. So No, so let's just say like any of those topics, if I went to any man and I went across a number of those topics, there would eventually be one topic where they would feel so insecure that they'd feel the same way that you just described feeling.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's what we do is it's a disservice sometimes is we have a narrow ribbon, a narrow band of what we would call masculinity. And what Brannon's trying to do with you right now is he's trying to expand that band and say, okay, certain masculine traits, let's say, if we're talking the difference between femininity and masculinity, right? Certain things are associated with masculinity. And a couple of those things that I think most people would agree with is that the masculine energy does provide and protect. Now, you could provide and protect by killing it in your place of work, so much so that you can then provide for your home to be taken care of by the handyman and the plumber and everything else. And that would mean nothing about your manliness. You'd still be providing, right? Protection comes in a lot of different forms. You know, you don't have to have just the big, strong muscles and all of the guns. Like you can protect by being a great teacher. You can protect by being empathetic and understanding to your kids and helping them think for themselves. Like you can protect in so many other ways, and you can embrace those principles and have them manifest in a myriad of different ways, and it would still be masculine, if that makes sense. And that's kind of where I see you going, Brannon. Is that right?
That's absolutely true. But I don't know if we're actually hitting on the real issue here with Dave, because what I see, I'm just going to say some things out loud and you tell me, like, I see that you worry that you have your dad in you and that maybe you're not lovable because you are like your dad in some ways. What do you think about that?
Um, I don't know. I think I spent so much of my life not wanting to be like him. Again, great man, but the ways that he struggled in his relationship and other things like that. So I don't think, yeah, I don't know if I resonate exactly with that I'm becoming like him. It's just that maybe more a slight resentment towards not being taught how to be a healthy man from him.
Gotcha.
Maybe.
Um, and then you have like a definition of what a healthy man is that's pretty laid out, sounds like.
Well, I have an idea of a man. I don't know about a healthy man, and that's something I'm trying to figure out, struggle with still. But yeah.
And then when we talk about your marriage, it sounds like it seems like you feel like you're failing there in many ways.
Yeah, felt like a, self-fulfilling prophecy of just, I ended up hurting my wife, and I'm sure she struggles with liking me sometimes, just like my mom, struggled with my dad. And then yeah, not being well-rounded enough to feel like a strong, healthy man. That she feels like she not only that I could really protect her, but also that I'm more of a hurt to her than protection.
Although you've tried extremely hard not to be like your dad and you don't show up like your dad, in many ways you're in the same position in your marriage as your dad was with your mom.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And so this self-fulfilling prophecy, I'm glad you're asking the question you're asking, like, why are you creating that? Do you know why?
Yeah.
Are you conscious of that?
I'm becoming more conscious, I think, of it. I think I definitely project, right? That oh yeah, my wife is like my mom in this situation, not totally conscious of it, but yep, she doesn't, she doesn't like me, she doesn't want to be with me. Why would she? I've hurt her so bad, things like that, and yeah, and like and highlighting the negative of, well, yeah, I don't know how to do this, or I didn't learn that, or whatever, as far as typical manly stuff or whatever. Which to say, I'm not completely, not handy or things like that. But yeah, anyways.
So what I'm trying to get at here is ultimately what I'm seeing the issue at is self-rejection. Is if you're overcompensating to not be like your dad, then you're not really figuring out who you really are. If you're if you're truly not like your dad, that's fine. But then it's like, but I'm not good enough as a man. I'm still not good enough just because I'm a man, right? Which then leads to secrecy. It leads to manipulation. It leads to Mr. Nice Guy. It leads to all these things. And your wife is left there like, well, I don't trust that guy because he doesn't even trust that guy, right?
Right.
So we got to deal with the self rejection. You got to look at this and say, okay, what do you need to do to heal those deepest wounds that change the story? And it's what Tyler was doing with Byron Katie. Like, yes, if you could get rid of that belief, that would change everything. Well, how do you actually get rid of that belief? There's answers.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I think something that I struggle with is the like fairness and hypocrisy. And so like the wrong part of me, I want to call it wrong, I don't know, wants to be like, well, how are women not so good if men are pigs? And you know what I mean? And I know that's not the right way to go. And so it's
Everybody sucks.
I mean, and that's like a real deal too, right? We all have issues or whatever, but like
Right.
being able to recognize that it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't mean I'm a pig because I screwed up. I'm working on me. I'm becoming a better person, and I won't be a pig, hopefully, in the not so distant future. Yeah, it's hard. I feel like the message I kind of joke with my family and stuff, not my kids and wife, but my siblings and stuff about how in our church we have this twice a year, this big, conference. And it used to be that they talk to the men and then they talk to the women. And the men, they would say, you need to do better at this and you need to repent and do these things. And then the women, it's like, you need to relax. You're doing too much. You need to, like, and that was, I mean, that just reinforced that message. Like, and seeing my own wife is so good in so many ways. Obviously she has things too, but they're like not to the same scale by any means. And so I can't like argue that message of like, guys, like, what's wrong with us? We suck, like we're pigs or whatever. So
I think you're identifying one place where you're getting tripped so much, and it's the natural thing for us to do. It's like, is for us to want to go into the comparison game, because if we can compare ourselves, the race to the bottom on how bad we both are feels good to us, even though it's not productive, right?
right.
That's driven by shame and fear, that comparison and that race to the bottom, right?
Yeah.
But you've referenced this a couple times, so it sounds like you're a spiritual, religious guy.
Sorry.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So one alternative to consider, and this is just one, there's a few floating through my brain right now, and I wanted to ask you this, is if you had to just sit with the question and take the question to two questions, what is the nature of the God you believe in? What are his or her actual attributes, traits, characteristics, and how does that figure in your life, your higher power, actually view you? Take out all other people, take out all other women, don't compare anything else. If you had to have a conversation one-on-one with your higher power and there were going to be answers coming back, who is your higher power and what would they say about your true nature?
Yeah. No, I think they would. I think he would definitely counter that thought. And it's just like, why is it so prevalent then? Like, but yeah,
Have you received answers from your higher power about who you actually are?
I think I've felt, peace about the direction that I'm heading right now. Really trying to uh, change and better myself, and I, sorry,
You're okay, man.
um, I've received, guidance in my past of, who the potential I think I have and things like that. Um, and so I need to review and reflect on that more. Um, yeah.
Um, Oh, Dave, that answer concerns me. Um, do you know why?
No.
Yeah, it concerns me because I heard you say two things. Basically, I heard you say I'm trying to be better, and also I've been given answers about my potential. And do you have kids?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a son?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, like, does your son need to try to be better for you to love him?
No. Yeah, the love is there for sure. And I,
Okay.
I, I think I think I'm coming to terms with that better myself. That like, I screw up today or whatever. Like my my Father in heaven, my God loves me. Um, but I do know too that like, hey, I need to try. I need to try to do better. I need to try to, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That the love will still be there.
That's fine. You need to try, but like when
Yeah.
Tyler asked you that question, the first place you went to is I think I know my potential and I'm trying to do better versus something like I'm a son of God and I'm loved unconditionally. I can screw up so many times. I can be as unmasculine or as masculine as I want to be. God loves me. God sees me. God knows me.
This is
So,
the transition, Brannon. Like that so many people that we work with, and this is why the wrestle with a higher power matters so much, is how many thousands of men, Brannon, have you worked with in the past that live a life that follows something like, I try, I have to try so I can be loved, only to finally come to a realization that once they're loved, they want to try.
yeah, yeah.
Like, so instead of trying to be loved, eventually the wrestle with things bigger than self has to yield. And this is where I see guys get really successful in their recovery and in their life. In fact, I'm getting emotional thinking about some of these guys. Is when they finally have an emotionally corrective experience or two or several with a higher power who loves them, they want to get up and do their daily charge. They want to get up and set the right bottom line so they can change their lives. They want to actually show up in ways that they were designed for by God for their families. And so that's like right at the crux is, who am I to my higher power? Could you go fail all day today, Dave, and still somehow know that your higher power did not change in how they love you? Because if you felt that deeply and you had specific names of not who you could be, but God was saying, this is who you are to me. This is, I have specific names for you. And when you receive those names, and you're going to want to go act those names out, you're going to try because you want to try, not because you have to try. That's the difference. That's the wrestle. That's why that's so important.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I'm seeing that, slowly. Yeah.
It's it's interesting. Your little T trauma is in many ways about the way your dad was, um, and just some of his quirks and things. That was some little T trauma. Um, but also part of your little T trauma was the way that your mom responded to your dad in sending you the message that he's just not okay. He's not living up to what he should be. And now you're in a marriage where you're not feeling like you're living up to what you should be for your wife. Um, and I'm going to take this maybe to a bit of a different place here, so bear with me. Um, I believe you need some unconditional love from a divine feminine that can hold space for you. The masculine is about results, is about logic and results and those type of things. And so when you say to me like my potential or I'm trying to be better, that's trying to please a male god. And I'm not saying he's not there and that he doesn't love you, but a divine feminine will just hold you, will just let you know you're loved. And I don't know if you've experienced that or if you've seen your mom give that to your dad. or you've experienced that with your wife. And we talk all the time about not turning your wife into your God. You should not get your worth there. You should not get your unconditional love there. But if you're turning to a God who it's a performance thing, then you won't heal those deeper wounds that are saying, I'm not okay as I am. So what do you think about that, Dave?
I can see that. That makes sense. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. It's a weird thought, but we don't talk about it much and we don't go there much. When we talk about higher power, one thing comes up.
Yeah.
Right. And I bet you're probably like, oh, I came to talk about like reclaiming my masculinity. And here he is talking about like connecting to a feminine God. Right. Um, but yeah,
Uh,
so something to consider.
I think I get it for sure. I could see that. I could see some definite healing from being nurtured, being just unconditionally loved,
Held.
like you said, and held. Yeah. Um, One thing that I heard semi recently was that you can, how is it said? You can only be told that you're a man by a man, something like that. Like you can't be validated as a man, or basically you have to be validated as a man by a man, if that makes sense.
Masculinity bestows masculinity.
Yeah.
Yes. You understand your masculinity through masculinity. And I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe you need unconditional nurturing love from God. And I believe that you need to have your masculinity bestowed by some men. And this kind of leads to, if we can shift a little bit into what now? Like, what are some ideas and some things that you can do in order to stop self-rejecting, in order to step into your masculinity, embrace it, and be okay? And one of those things is to surround yourself around good men who love you and who can see the real you. And so, do you have good friends? Do you have a group? Do you have Tyler? Did you have something to add?
No, yeah, I agree with you, Brandon. I'm just going along with what you're saying. Sorry, I started to talk while you were talking.
No, you're fine.
But no, yeah, I think even just the act of coming on the show today, and this isn't like, I hope this doesn't sound arrogant, but to have a conversation with two men who are still figuring things out. We still have our own lives. We still make our own mistakes. Both of us have probably been pigs before, but we're also striving really hard.
I was last night at dinner. So.
We're striving to be good men, and for you to put yourself in the arena and have a conversation in the open like this with courage and a willingness to talk and hopefully get some sort of reception of masculinity here. That's part of what Brandon's talking about. But then looking around in your circles and saying, I got to go find a place to put myself in the arena, which will mean courage. You know, I have a really good friend here who's way into guns. I'm just barely learning about guns. I feel small around him. I got to go hang out with him. I got to go learn about those things. I got to put myself in that arena. I got to build a relationship with him. And if it's through the means of understanding guns, I'll do that. But the guns aren't the masculinity. It's the relationship I'll forge by learning about those things, right? That's one of those things. The other one that the reason I went where I went earlier is where Brandon's asking is the wrestle with higher power really matters. And we're, you know, everyone's going to have their own belief of how higher power works or who higher power is. That's going to be your wrestle to do. But stepping into that wrestle is what matters.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, it's like I can remember being in a spot where I believed in a certain God that was in that transactional space of I have to be good enough and then God will love me. And yet I go back to a place in my life where one of the deepest places, two of the deepest places I've ever felt God's full love for me has been right after what I feel have been the worst parts of my whole life. When I was so broken, when the ego had to let down, the belief system that performance was going to bring me love, and all I was left with was just my brokenness to offer back to a higher power. And it was offering and surrendering the brokenness that all of a sudden the love was consuming, all consuming, but it came through the practice of surrender. It didn't come through the practice of doing more. It came through the practice of having the ego being so broken, the belief system, a willingness to lay that down for a minute and say, that's what started to happen for you earlier today. I was watching it in your body language when I said, what would happen if you took that belief off? And you said, oh, I'd feel so relieved. I'd feel so free. Do you know what would happen? There would be space for love to fill that gap if you actually allowed yourself to take that belief off for a few minutes every day. There'd be a space for your higher power, however that manifests itself, to have an opportunity to work itself into your heart. So that's part of it. So this masculinity bestows masculinity. As soon as you were talking about that, I was like, dude, you need to be at our next men's retreat because you should see what happens. Masculinity bestows acceptance and love at those places. And that's why Brannon's saying you got to find some places where you can experience that from other men. So yeah, those two things I think are really important. Sorry, Brannon, I got on my soapbox there for a second.
No, I love it. Just keep it going.
Yeah, I wanted to try to get on the call during the summer when you guys were offering the potential to win a free Rising Sun retreat or whatever, but I wasn't there yet. So, but that definitely is something that I will look into. I am in I guess 3 groups kind of men, but they're all recovery related, and so it's kind of hard to counter that, like, we're pigs when I'm in a group of pigs, like. So I definitely will. I do have again my next older brother. He's my accountability partner, and he's just awesome. So I have him and another good buddy that's there for me. So
Dave, can I ask you that though? Let me just ask you, out of the 3 groups you're in, there's probably a total of 20, 30 guys there.
Maybe something like that. Yeah. I don't know.
Every one of those guys has done piggish things.
Yeah. And we're all fighting. Yeah.
Do you see every one of those dudes as a pig?
No. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. We're all fighting it. We're on the fight.
No. So. Do you think they're pigs? Are they pigs?
No, I mean, I know the answer is no, right? It's just we've all the piggish things. It's hard to not let that define us. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
How do we counter that message? But yeah, we're not.
Do you see those guys in the same light, maybe that you'd see your son who just made a mistake?
Yeah.
What's the emotion that's coming up now?
Just, of course I love my son, and he couldn't do, anything to keep me from loving him, for sure. So I know it's just hard to, translate that to an adult who should know better and stuff, but I'm getting there.
Is it maybe even harder to translate that to yourself?
Yeah.
Could I read you a couple comments here, Dave, real quick, that are just coming through the live feed? 3 of them really quickly.
Sure.
I feel like you're a great man. I feel like you've allowed others' opinions to define who you are. Sadly, that opinion might be coming from the ones who love you the most or seek approval from. 2, your vulnerability is masculinity. And 3, what you're feeling right now towards your son, that's real love, Dave.
I appreciate those comments. I got on this podcast to talk about being more manly, and I've cried like 5 times, but
it's awesome.
Just kidding. It's okay. I know.
That's awesome. I love it.
It's okay.
Yeah. It's interesting, when we bring up your son, because it's such an innate feeling, and this could be a whole other topic and we don't have time for it, but your son is sexual too. He's a sexual being. Those men in the group, they're sexual beings, and that sexuality came from somewhere. Like, we're designed that way, we're built that way, and I get that selfish things come up and things get out of bounds and mistakes get made and harm is done. I get it. I understand it. But a part of being a man is also being a sexual being, and it's a beautiful thing. It's an awesome thing. So it's learning how to embrace that, to love that part of you, every part of you, every unique part of you, and then being able to be authentic and open about those parts of you, right, with others. And so, man, Dave, I just appreciate your vulnerability today. And you might scoff at this, but I'm going to say you're a good man.
You can feel it. I hope our listeners can feel it right now. Brannon and I both, I know I'm feeling it, man. I feel so, my whole being is open towards you. Like, you're the kind of guy I'd love to go hang out with and just visit with. You got a genuine goodness to you. You can tell there's a humility deep in your soul and in your heart, which I know doesn't feel masculine, but humility is amazingly masculine when you understand your weaknesses and your strengths, and a willingness to go to work on those things is beautiful. That is masculine.
Thanks, guys.
You've been a gift to me today, Dave. I so appreciate your willingness to come on.
Yeah, thanks.
Brannon, I want to ask you before we wrap up, you were kind of getting into things and I cut you off earlier. What are the other things that Dave could be doing?
Well, that's perfect, Tyler, because I was going to jump in anyways, and I'm gonna rifle through this because we're running low on time. But connect to other men. It's awesome you're in groups. It's awesome you have brothers. And I would like, I'm going to lunch in an hour with a bunch of my buddies, and we're just going to talk about whatever. We're going to talk about fixing things, hunting, and sports. I'm just kidding.
And Brannon will feel small around the sports topic.
Trump, guns, and sports. Like, yeah. But yeah, like actually maybe you need to make a concerted effort to have some good just connection with your boys, whether it's your brothers, whether it's your friends. There's a few books that I think should be requirements, and you probably read them. And if you haven't, then just start going down this list. Wild at Heart, The Way of the Superior Man, No More Mr. Nice Guy. And I actually found a book that combines all of these together. It's called The Masculine in Relationship by G.S. Youngblood. But if you haven't read those, then I would, and it'll give you a good understanding of who we are as men, and an understanding of God's love as well. So I'd listen to them, read them, because it'll take all the messagings that you've got from your mom and from your upbringing and be like, oh, maybe I'll think different. Maybe that paradigm isn't really helping me. Okay, so surround yourself around good men, shift your paradigm, open up to other possibilities, other belief systems, nurture your relationship with God, both the feminine and the masculine. Like, nurture that relationship. And then you need to have some emotionally corrective experiences to heal the trauma, the little T trauma or the big T trauma. Just looking at porn when you're 11 and consistently doing that, and you're a part of a religion and you're told you're not supposed to, that's traumatic too. That's a lot of shame going on inside of you. So you need some emotionally corrective experiences to counteract that trauma. So I want to read one last comment that just barely came through. It said, "I'm proud of you, Dave. Good job being so vulnerable. You're a good man. Thank you, Dave. And thank you, Therapy Brothers." So Dave, thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. How are you feeling, Dave? It's probably not what you expected today.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know what to expect for sure. I mean, I've listened to you guys a lot and you always do amazing things. And so was ready for a roller coaster and got it. It was good. It's good.
Yeah. So this episode will be posted to YouTube. It'll also come out in a couple of weeks on all the podcast platforms, so you'll be able to listen to it again. I would just add to what Brannon said that I think at the core is going to be a continued wrestle with the love of God and whoever God is to you, and maybe even redefining that relationship in some ways. So throw yourself into that arena in whatever ways you do to try to find that connection. I don't care about your worthiness. I care about your connection to that higher power. And thank you. Thank you to the people who are here listening. Thank you for those who participated,
who commented.
If this is meaningful to any of you, please throw a shout out to Dave or share this with people who might benefit. We would love to be able to help as many people as possible with this. We love our crew. We love our tribe. We love you guys.
See ya.
Yeah, thanks.